How would you like to peek into a crystal ball and predict what kind of year you're going to have in 2025? Tempting, right? As we enter a new year, it's only natural to think ahead and wonder what the future will bring. Will I get a raise or a promotion? Will I achieve better work life balance? Will Channing Tatum finally ask me out? Okay, that last one is a little TMI, but Channing is on my hall pass list and he's single now. Well, we don't have to consult our horoscope or drop $100 on the psychic network for a glimpse into the future. Because while the rest of the world is Googling what will 2025 bring, science tells us that the best predictor of our future selves isn't online or in the stars. It's in the habits we're living right now. Yep, our symptoms, our habits, and the lifestyle that we led in 2024 have already laid the foundation for how we're going to show up in the new year. Ready to see where you're headed? Then put away the vision board and pop in your earbuds because I'll be back to break it all down in less than 60 seconds. Welcome to Are You There Midlife? It's me, Monica. Hi, I'm Monica Topetti, wife, mom, health coach, and hormone imbalance survivor. And I'm on a mission to help women in midlife balance hormones naturally without drugs, doctors, or divorce. Are you tired of dealing with heavy, painful periods that look like a crime scene? Are you sick of struggling with anxiety, fatigue, or brain fog that... What was I just saying? Are you frustrated doing all the things to lose weight but still packing on pounds faster than a real housewife changes Birkins? Girl, you are in the right place. Join me each week as I spill the tea on what to expect in perimenopause and beyond. From IBS to insomnia, bloating to funky body odor, I'll unpack all the weird stuff happening inside our midlife bodies, plus give you the latest science and holistic solutions to manage it all. So ditch the Spanx and hop on board the Hot Mess Express. Let's do this. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the show. So before we jump in today's episode, I just want to make sure you already have taken my free hormone quiz because you're really going to want results in order to get the most out of today's episode. Now, if you're new to the show, first of all, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. And second of all, you're probably wondering, what the heck is this hormone quiz I'm talking about? Well, to be honest, it's actually not a quiz. It's a hormone symptom profile assessment, but that's just a mouthful, right? Anyway, this assessment uses something called hormone symptom profiling to evaluate your age, menopausal stage, and symptoms for 9 of the most common hormonal imbalances in midlife. So if you're dealing with symptoms like unexplained mood swings, or fatigue, or irritability, sugar cravings, joint pain, difficulty sleeping, acne, etc., etc., etc. Duh, that's why you're here, right? Well, then you may have a hormone imbalance, and this quiz is the place to start. It's quick, it's easy, and it's crazy accurate, especially when it comes to identifying the type and severity of your hormone imbalance. Plus, you're not going to have to wait 2 weeks for some lab to call you with the results because I personally review each assessment and then I send you an individualized email with feedback so you can hit the new year running. So go ahead, hit the pause button. Go ahead, I will wait for you. And head on over to bit.ly, take my hormone quiz, or click the link in today's show notes and then meet me back here for the rest of today's show. Okay, so last week I was chatting with a potential client who was pretty much at her wit's end regarding her hormonal symptoms. She'd been taking HRT that her doctor prescribed, but she was still having a bunch of symptoms: joint pain, dizziness, brain fog, fatigue, and anxiety. Basically, she was a mess. And her doctor had no answers. Zero. None. But as we proceeded to talk and I dug deeper into her lifestyle, her diet, her sleeping habits, her activity, her stress levels, it was like looking into a mirror of my past self. And it became pretty clear that her symptoms weren't some rando occurrence, but rather a reflection of her behaviors and lifestyle choices. Did you know that 75% of all women experience some form of hormonal imbalance during perimenopause and menopause? 75%! And yet, so many women I work with continue to have symptoms of a hormonal imbalance despite being on some form of hormone replacement or birth control or other prescription medication. In this first episode of 2025, I'm going to put on my future telling turban to reveal the symptoms, behaviors, and lifestyle choices of the most common hormonal imbalances in midlife and what they predict about your health this year. Are you ready? Okay, so the first hormone imbalance we're going to discuss today is estrogen dominance. Now, if you're in perimenopause or menopause and experiencing bloating, mood swings, sore breasts, or heavy prolonged periods, I predict you may have estrogen dominance. Emotionally, women with estrogen dominance tend to be more irritable or experience sudden mood swings that leave us feeling like something is just off. A lot of women with estrogen dominance may also notice weight gain, especially around the hips or in the midsection, and it seems to stick no matter how hard we work out or how much we watch what we eat. Other women with estrogen dominance report symptoms like rapid heartbeat, brain fog, and even headaches or migraines, especially around their menstrual cycle. If you feel like you're on a constant hormonal roller coaster, this could likely be estrogen dominance. So what are some of the habits that could be contributing to your estrogen dominance? Let's look at a few. The first is consuming soy. So soy products, like that soy latte you order from Starbucks, well, it's really high in something called phytoestrogens. And that's a plant compound that mimics estrogen in our body and can contribute to estrogen overload. Second is a high sugar diet, because a diet rich in sugar and refined carbs can lead to insulin spikes, and that can indirectly increase our estrogen levels in our bodies. It works like this: the more sugar we consume, the harder it is for our body to maintain hormonal balance. Even if you don't have a sweet tooth, there are a bunch of sneaky sources of sugar in our diet that you may be eating on the regular, like trail mix, granola bars, salad dressing, ketchup, or even flavored yogurts. And the third habit that could be contributing to your estrogen dominance is insufficient vitamin D. Now, research shows that vitamin D plays a crucial role in hormone balance, and a deficiency can exacerbate estrogen dominance by impeding our body's ability to metabolize excess estrogen and make it harder for our body to clear excess estrogen. So what's my 2025 prediction for you? Well, if you continue these and other habits into 2025, it's very likely that your symptoms of estrogen dominance are going to get worse and possibly even increase your risk for other conditions or even disease. For example, studies show that women with high estrogen levels are at greater risk of developing fibroids, which, according to one study reported by the Mayo Clinic, affect about 70% of all women by the age of 50. Elevated estrogen levels can also increase the risk of gallbladder issues and create gallstones, as well as increase the risk of estrogen-sensitive cancers like breast cancer. For an even deeper dive into estrogen dominance, be sure to check out episode 14, which I will link in today's show notes. The next hormone imbalance we're going to discuss is low estrogen. Now, if you're in menopause and you are experiencing hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, memory issues, or low libido, you may have low estrogen. A lot of women with low estrogen also report changes in their skin and hair and nails, especially dryness, that can also make sex uncomfortable or even painful. Generally speaking, this hormonal imbalance can leave us feeling physically and emotionally drained. And because plummeting energy levels may make it harder to stay active, increasing weight gain frequently follows, as well as irritability or anxiety. If you're feeling exhausted and just disconnected from your body, low estrogen may be the reason. So what are some of those habits that could be contributing to your low estrogen? First, we have insufficient healthy fats. Yeah, I said fats, because estrogen production actually relies on our consumption of fat. So if we're not getting enough healthy fats in our diet, like those found in avocados or nuts or olive oil, we may not be giving our body the building blocks it needs to maintain balanced estrogen levels. We also could have low DHEA levels. Now, DHEA is a hormone produced by our adrenal glands that is actually a precursor to estrogen. Our DHEA levels naturally start to decline beginning in perimenopause, which can contribute to lower estrogen levels. So if we're not supplementing, we could have also symptoms of low DHEA in addition to low estrogen. And some of those symptoms include fatigue, muscle weakness, depression, and decreased bone density. And finally, a lack of weight-bearing exercise. Now, weight-bearing exercise can be resistance training with bands or a kettlebell, really anything that provides any kind of resistance against the body. Traditional weightlifting with barbells or dumbbells or weight machines, or even just body weight exercises. All of those are considered weight-bearing exercises. So those exercises, in addition to activities like walking or hiking, which are also weight-bearing, stimulate the production of estrogen by strengthening our bones and improving circulation. Without regular weight-bearing activity, our body can struggle to maintain healthy estrogen levels. And inactivity can also lead to a slower metabolism, which makes it harder for our body to balance our hormones effectively. What's my 2025 prediction? Well, if you continue these and other behaviors in 2025, it's likely your low estrogen symptoms are going to get worse and lead you to be a little bit more vulnerable for more severe symptoms or side effects. First, low levels of estrogen without any kind of intervention will result in weight gain in at least 50% of all women. Let me repeat that. Low levels of estrogen without any kind of lifestyle intervention will result in weight gain in at least 50% of all women. The average woman will gain 1.5 pounds per year during perimenopause and menopause. But since that transition can actually last 10 years or more, we're talking 15 to 20 pounds. In addition, studies by the National Osteoporosis Foundation indicate that low estrogen contributes to a higher risk of bone density loss and osteoporosis, which leads postmenopausal women to have a 50% greater risk of hip fractures than any other population. Additionally, low estrogen can increase our risk of heart disease since estrogen plays a role in maintaining healthy blood vessels. For an even deeper dive into low estrogen, check out episodes 20 and 22, which I'll be sure to link in today's show notes. The next hormone imbalance we're going to discuss is PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. If you're in perimenopause and are experiencing acne, unwanted hair growth, like on your face or arms or lower back, irregular periods or really heavy periods or cysts, you could have PCOS. This hormonal imbalance is marked by an overproduction of androgens, which are basically male hormones. Testosterone is an example, as well as insulin resistance. As a result, many women with PCOS often have a hard time maintaining a healthy weight because traditional weight loss methods like cutting calories or exercising more are ineffective, with weight gain tending to center around the stomach area. Other symptoms of PCOS can include fatigue, trouble sleeping, irritability, and mood swings. If your cycles are unpredictable, you've experienced infertility or miscarriage, and you're noticing changes in your skin or hair, PCOS may be the cause. So what are some of the habits that could be contributing to your PCOS? First off is a high-carb, low-fiber diet. Now, eating a diet high in refined carbohydrates and sugary foods spikes insulin, and that can trigger an overproduction of androgens. Androgens are the hormones that can cause acne and facial hair growth, as well as disrupt your menstrual cycle. The second habit that could be contributing to your PCOS is a sedentary lifestyle. So what exactly is a sedentary lifestyle? I hear that term thrown around a lot. Well, a sedentary lifestyle is defined as sitting 6 or more hours per day at a desk job. Guilty, right here. Guilty. 6 hours, yes. And it makes it harder to manage insulin resistance when you're sitting that long, and insulin resistance is really at the core of PCOS. While regular exercise can improve insulin sensitivity and reduce symptoms of PCOS, if you're walking, say, less than 5,000 steps a day, you're still considered sedentary. So you need to up those steps. And the third habit that could be contributing to your PCOS is regular consumption of cow dairy. So excessive dairy can increase inflammation in our body, exacerbate insulin resistance, and contribute to worsening symptoms of PCOS. Dairy can also stimulate insulin-like growth factor, or IGF, which can lead to further hormonal imbalance. So what's my 2025 prediction? If you continue these and other behaviors in the new year, the result can have long-term implications for your health. According to a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, women with PCOS are at a higher risk for metabolic syndrome, with some studies suggesting up to 70% of all women with PCOS will eventually develop type 2 diabetes. 70% type 2 diabetes. Yeah, that one's scary. In addition, multiple research studies link insulin resistance, if left unchecked, to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease and heart issues. For an even deeper dive into PCOS, check out episode 18 of the podcast, which I will link also in today's show notes. The next hormone imbalance we're going to discuss is thyroid dysfunction or hypothyroidism. If you're in perimenopause or menopause and are experiencing chronic fatigue, an intolerance to cold or heat, puffiness in the face, constipation or muscle weakness, you may have hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism occurs when the thyroid gland doesn't produce enough thyroid hormones, slowing down our metabolism. Many women with low thyroid report feeling sluggish, mentally foggy, or just finding it hard to get through the day. If your body feels like it's moving in slow motion and your motivation to get things done is at an all-time low, you could be dealing with a thyroid imbalance. Some of the habits that can be contributing to your hypothyroid include, number one, consuming nightshades. So some women with thyroid issues are sensitive to nightshades. What's a nightshade? Those are any fruits or vegetables in the tomato, potato, pepper, and eggplant family. So what happens is when women eat these nightshades, their symptoms get exacerbated because they contain something called lectins and alkaloids, which actually block the thyroid channel. The second habit that could be contributing to your hyperthyroid is alcohol consumption. So we know that drinking too much alcohol is not good for us in general. In fact, there was a recent announcement by the Surgeon General that they might start putting warning labels on alcohol because it increases the risk of cancer. Drinking even one drink a day can increase your risk of cancer. So we know that there's a lot of things involved with alcohol consumption, but specifically drinking too much alcohol can affect our liver's ability to convert thyroid hormones into their active form. And this potentially can lead to hypothyroidism or making an existing thyroid imbalance harder to manage. And then thirdly, the third habit is poor sleep hygiene. So consistently poor sleep, which is defined as less than 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep per night, affects our circadian rhythm, and that in turn impacts thyroid function. So without restorative sleep, our thyroid struggles to maintain healthy hormone levels, and we can then exacerbate our hormonal imbalance. So what's my 2025 prediction? Well, if it's anything like the other hormonal imbalances, the truth is that if you continue with these and other behaviors, your hypothyroid symptoms are likely to worsen and actually lead to an increased risk of depression and even more severe weight gain. According to the American Thyroid Association, the long-term effects of untreated hypothyroidism can be pretty serious, with studies showing a higher risk of cardiovascular disease as well as cognitive decline. For an even deeper dive into hypothyroidism, be sure to check out episode 15, which I'll also link in today's show notes. And the last hormone imbalance we're going to discuss is adrenal dysfunction. If you're in perimenopause or menopause and are experiencing anxiety, restlessness, trouble sleeping, and the inability to cope with stress, you could be dealing with elevated cortisol levels or adrenal fatigue. Cortisol is our body's stress hormone, and when it's constantly elevated due to lifestyle, dietary, emotional, or sleep stress, our body can begin to feel like it's in fight or flight mode all the time. This imbalance can leave us feeling both tired and wired, constantly battling fatigue, and struggling with cravings for salty or sugary foods. If you're juggling the demands of work, family, and health, and can't seem to catch your breath, a cortisol imbalance might be to blame. Some of the habits that could be contributing to your adrenal dysfunction include, number one, too much endurance cardio. Yep, I said it. Long endurance cardio, including running, biking, spinning, aerobics classes, or 45-minute sessions or longer on the elliptical machine or stair climber can cause a chronic state of elevated cortisol. For midlife women, cortisol plays a tug of war with our other hormones like progesterone and estrogen. So excessive endurance cardio can actually increase a cortisol imbalance. Number 2 is caffeine consumption. Now, I got to admit, I loves me my caffeine, but I've come up with some hacks so I can have my caffeine without it destroying my hormones. Because the reality is drinking too much coffee or caffeinated beverages can increase our cortisol levels, especially if consumed later in the day. And we also know that caffeine can also further cause sleep disruption, and that leads to increased stress and, you guessed it, increased cortisol. And the number 3 behavior that could be contributing to your adrenal dysfunction is nutritional deficiencies. So if you're following a low-calorie or restrictive diet to lose weight, or maybe your diet is lacking a lot of whole, fresh foods, it can lead to a lack of essential nutrients like magnesium, B vitamins, and vitamin C, which are all crucial for balancing our cortisol. Not eating enough vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds can lead to nutritional deficiencies that, unless supplemented, can perpetuate a constant cycle of chronic stress. So what's my 2025 prediction? Well, you guessed it. If we continue these and other behaviors in 2025, elevated cortisol levels or adrenal fatigue can cause long-term damage. Studies show that prolonged high cortisol levels can not only increase the risk of blood pressure, but cause weight gain as well as cardiovascular disease. The chronic effects of stress can also increase your risk for anxiety and depression, making you dependent on SSRIs or other prescription anti-anxiety medications. For an even deeper dive into adrenal function, check out episode 17, which I'll link in today's show notes. So there you go. The 5 most common hormonal imbalances in my perimenopause and menopausal clients, and what you can predict for 2025 if you don't make any changes to your health. But here's the good news. We don't have to be at the mercy of our hormones. Now that you understand how your habits affect your hormones, you can make small, consistent diet and lifestyle changes that can alter the trajectory of your year. Studies show that a holistic approach to hormone balance that includes targeted nutrition and stress management can reduce symptoms by 70% or more. Yes! So how about it? Are you ready to take control of your mood and your energy and your body this year? Then click the link in today's show notes that says apply to work with me, and let's create a personalized plan that works for you. Until then, sending you out into the world with health, happiness, and fewer hot flashes. Hey friend, can I call you friend? Because I already feel like we're friends in my head. Did this podcast teach you something, make you laugh, or feel less like an alien? If so, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could take just 60 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe. That is the number one way you can thank me and support the show. Until next week, stay cool and keep away from sharp objects.